What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall market. I'm going to talk about some very important levels to watch for, what patterns could be developing on the market as well. But just note that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice, and don't forget to smash the like button. Anyways, as far as Tesla goes, as you guys can see, we are technically bearish from a technical standpoint. So we're making lower highs and lower lows. Tesla failed to hold support at 208. Now we're dipping down to our next level at 205. The next level below that would take us all the way down to about 202 if we lose 205. Now, despite Tesla in the market looking bearish, I just want to mention that it is possible that Tesla could be trying to form a falling wedge right now. Depending on how you draw this out, it is possible this can be a little bit more steep. We could even draw it out like this. But if anything, we could be forming a possible falling wedge approaching Nvidia's earnings. If Tesla, ends up getting a bounce and a breakout of this and we get back above 212, there could be a bounce coming. If not, this could also be a trap and Tesla could just continue to collapse, and we'll be watching to see what the move ends up being. But for now, the market is dipping, approaching Nvidia's earnings. Nvidia's earnings is going to be the big factor affecting whether or not this dump continues. But as of right now, the market's a little bit more bearish approaching its big earnings. So make sure you watch 208 as Tesla's main resistance zone, and then we have 210 and 212. We have support at 205, not to mention all the way down here around 202. Tesla is looking more bearish right now, so is the market for now. But like I said before, I wouldn't turn way too bearish quite yet. I wouldn't necessarily assume that this means the market has to crash. Nvidia has to crash as well. It could be a trap before their earnings. They could be trying to sell things off before they get ready. So you still want to be open minded nonetheless. Okay, so be open minded nonetheless. That's all I'm trying to say. As far as SPY goes, we're approaching our key support at 559.6. That's going to be our 20 EMA. If we lose that, we're going to be going down to yesterday's low at 558, followed by 555. If we lose, if we lose 555, there's going to be a bigger dip coming. If we break past 563, we turn back up. Right now, we look a little bit more bearish. We're going to be watching to see how well we hold this support. But SPY may dip a little bit more if anything. So just be very, very mindful of that. There is still a risk of some downside. So we'll see how well we hold around this support. We're showing some weakness right now. Despite that, it is possible buyers do return later on, and then we will see what the real catalyst is, which is going to be Nvidia's earnings. So I'm still not really shaken by this. I'm not really afraid or anything like that. Nvidia is still range bound. I said yesterday we may pop and drop. I told you we're just going to remain range bound. That's all that's happening. So we pushed up to about 129. We came short of my 130 target before coming back down. So now we're going to be looking for basically 124.7 as support for Nvidia. That's going to be our critical support. We could dip a little bit more to get closer to that, and then we'll see if we bounce. And then we also have resistance at 126.5. So I think Nvidia may dip a little bit, but don't worry, guys. The real move is going to come depending on earnings. So I'm not too convinced about this yet. We'll just have to wait and see what earnings cause. So be open minded nonetheless. For Bitcoin, we pumped and dumped. We went up to 60,000 only to dip back down. We're looking at 58,000 support. We could dip a little bit more, and we'll see what the move ends up being depending on Nvidia's earnings. For the QQQ, we have this flag that could be forming. This could be a bull flag or it could be a trap. You never know. If we fail at 472, there's going to be a risk of us dipping even lower, all the way down towards the lower support down here at 470, if not 468. So there is some downwards potential if we lose 472. If we hold 472, this could actually continue to maintain this structure. So we'll be watching to see if this is a trap or not. For Nvidia's earnings, okay, let me just make this very clear. If we're bearish, this is going to basically be invalidated. And what we're going to basically do is come down like this. And then with Nvidia, if we do get a dump, we're just going to continue to dump all the way down to this imbalance. So you're going to be looking at this imbalance right here if we were to be bearish on this trend. However, if we're bullish, the exact opposite will happen. We'll be looking for a break out of this wedge. That's going to be taking us once again up to a much bigger structure. So we're going to be looking for a break with the flag back up into the 480s. If we break out of this, this is a potential pattern as well. So you want to be open-minded nonetheless. So we'll see which way we go, guys. So be very patient. We'll see how this ends up developing. If anything, we still look more bearish on the QQQ, but we're barely holding 472, and then we'll see if we bounce or not. For Aapl, we're barely at this 228 support. My target was about 230 if we had broken that resistance. And that's actually almost exactly where Aapl went to before coming back down. So if we lose 227, look for a dip. If we hold this, we could consolidate. There might be a little bit of a dip coming before we try to continue higher, so watch for that. But for now, Apple may dip. The IWM Russell 2000 came down to 217 as predicted, and I said to watch and see if we get closer to 216 and bounce, or if we bounce off 217. So far, we're holding up at 217. We're going to see if we could hold above that. Otherwise, we're just consolidating. For Coinbase, we're continuing to fall. We're going to be looking at 190 as our support. If we lose that, I'll be looking for 188, followed by the gap fill down to about 178. So it could dip lower to 188, but then we'll see if we bounce or not. For Amazon, we're also looking a little bit more bearish. I'll be looking at 172. If that does not hold, we're looking for 170. We'll see if we bounce off that. Meta came down very close to our target at that 515 area. If that fails, we'll be looking for a bigger dip. We have this double top bearish divergence, and there is a risk of us dipping lower. But then we'll see if we bounce off this support or not. So I could see a little bit of a dip for Meta. Microsoft are on a bit of a downtrend right here. If we don't hold the 410 area, we're looking at this imbalance all the way down towards 408. And we also have this 412 area as resistance. So I do see us potentially dipping a little bit lower, but then Nvidia will be the next factor affecting us. Google's also looking a bit more bearish. We lost 165. We could dip even lower towards 162 if we don't hold 164. So be careful, guys. The market has a risk of some more downside, at least for many of these tech stocks. However, SPY is still trying to get defended very close to its 20 EMA. So we'll see if this holds or not, and we'll see how things go approaching Nvidia's earnings. So with that being said, as far as Tesla goes, we are continuing to decline. We aren't technically bearish. We don't have to look at the falling wedge. This looks like a bearish structure anyways. But just so you guys know, the wedge is still technically existent, and we'll see if we get a breakout of this or not going into tomorrow, going into the after hours, and then also tomorrow. So we'll see how Nvidia affects this, and we'll be very, very patient nonetheless. I thank you all for listening. Please have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours for another update. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention. I wanted to just talk about this real quick. The VIX, there's something very important about this. The VIX is trying to get a little rebound right here, but whether or not this continues depends on Nvidia's earnings. We need to break past 17.06 to turn back up on the VIX. The VIX has not broken key resistance to really show us that the market's dipping. The market's still holding some key levels. So we're going to be paying very, very close attention to this as well. I think it's very important that you guys remember this because it's going to affect implied volatility, and then Nvidia's earnings will also affect that as well. So we're going to be very patient and see how things go. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the video. I'll be back in a couple of hours to give you guys another update, a big warning about the markets. And until then, make sure you watch your setups. And just remember one thing. For setups, you don't always want to just jump into a position solely based off setups. They don't always play out, guys. Sometimes they could just be straight up just trickery. So the best thing to do is to watch your levels carefully and then manage risks, especially when you have earnings coming out. That's what I'm going to basically do. Manage risks very, very well. Don't be overly bullish or overly bearish. Manage risks and be very, very patient nonetheless. All right. Anyways, non-financial advice. Just want to give you guys that update. All right. I'll see you guys in a few hours and peace out.